huh? And so I'm like, what do you mean he's fake? And then she says, oh, he said that he was gonna call me later. Oh. And this is the part where I need to see if I'm wrong or not. I snapped at her, but only a little bit, and in a friendly way almost, because of like who she is. I'm not gonna sit here and get mad at her. She's my friend, you know what I mean? So I'm just like, that's your best friend. Me and Jay are friends. Like, that's your best friend. He was probably gonna call you before calling me. And
fingers, I swear to God, as soon as my hand is on the handle, pulling it open, she comes in, she screams, stop, no, do not open that drawer. I freeze, I freak out, and I go, why? She goes, that drawer's weird. I don't like when people open it. Literally, I swear to God, for the rest of the night and the next day, she did not let me in her room alone at all. Which, again, has never happened before. But my dad comes to pick me up the next day. I get in the car, I tell him
I haven't even got on the trip yet. I've not even spoken to her, and we're already at this point. Things have gone left. I'm like, well, she works in XYZ and she's been doing it for XYZ time. And he was like, what? This girl told me she was a VP of Halifax Bank. And you, Mr. Man, at no point did you question, rah, she's doing all of this. Remember, because even though she lied about her age, in his eyes, he knew her to be 22. And he was like, oh my God, I never thought of that because I'm not really on social, blah, 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 all that stuff. My friend has done me dirty like this. All so she could try and make herself look better. Or whatever the case is, I don't even know why she would do that. I have to go on holiday with this person in the next couple days. Oh, this is long. This is so long. I was trying to think of an action plan, a game plan. We had a back and forth like, oh my God, what did she say?
To get this crazy you-know-what out of our pod. We all folded them up into little paper kites and we sent them to the guards. We were ringing the doorbell like crazy and we told them what happened and no questions asked, she was gone. Storytime about why my aunt put me back into foster care. Yes, she put me back into foster care. So a little background information, I was 15 years old and a sophomore in high school. But whenever I was 12 years old, I was in a very abusive household. And I had two younger sisters. One was 11 and the other one was 9. Fast forward, all of us were...
Of course I didn't, because I don't do stuff like that. So yeah, that was it, y'all. If you haven't watched my other parts, you should watch them for context. Yeah, period.
So this one time I go to a gas station and I see this guy, and you know how like you see a guy and you just know he's about to harass you? Yeah. So he goes, hey, hey, hey. I'm pretending I can't fucking hear him, obviously, and he walks in front of me. Hey. So now I have to fucking talk to him. So he goes, you look familiar.
Right? I get a DM from her on Instagram saying like, hey, did Tommy used to be your best friend? Pretty much everybody knew what happened between me and Tommy. But she was like, that girl that you're best friends with is dating him now. And then he completely cut me off. So technically, she used both her and I to get with Tommy. But after dating for literally like 2 months, he cheated on her because she slept with 5 other guys. Story time about how my best friend and I were dating the same guy. So a little background information, I was 15.
No way. I felt my ear and the earring was stuck in my ear. I'm about to show y'all the earring. Alright, so this is what the earring's supposed to look like. This was stuck in my ear. Like, this whole part was stuck in my ear. I was feeling it, bro, and there was like a ball in my ear. And I was like, no way. I had to think twice. And at that same period of time when it happened, when I was trying to like wiggle it out, I was feeling sick all of a sudden. So that was an extra 10 minutes that I could have used for getting ready. And I'm so
make that pistol pop. Dirt low. I walk down the grassy knoll to my car, and a woman and 3 children come running out the back door to let me know that he is married. He changed the locks on them, and this isn't the first time.
Tell me about the worst date you've ever been on. Here's mine.
Full disclosure, he was a very nice guy. Let me just start off saying that. He was a nice guy. He was hotter than me. Not like kinda hot, like... I was lonely, but then my boyfriend started acting weird and all the signs pointing to him cheating on me. But I ignored it because I thought that him and I were in love like in the movies. And also, if I broke up with him, it would be like breaking up with his family because I loved them like my own. Fast forward, his sister ends up getting married, and my sister and I were invited to the wedding. Fast forward, everybody gets drunk. We end up spending the night at his cousin's house, and something was off with my boyfriend. He wasn't really talking to me. He wouldn't touch me. He pretty much acted like he was done with me. Well, then there's my sister who was flirting and touching him like it was normal.
It ended up us going outside somehow, some way. We ended up outside. I threw that fucking bag, that Apple bag he had, across the fucking hotel lobby, like, bitch, because I thought it was a gift. I said, hey, you buying bitches gifts? And I threw it, but I was salty. There was no gifts in the bag. It was a fucking Apple Care, like, stuff, like a charger and shit. Like, it wasn't nothing papers, like, his whole life. And the fucking boxers is in there. Like, he didn't have shit. Like, you left a good situation you had to run the streets with.
Basement, and his mom left again, threatening to kill herself again. And while we're upstairs, he starts taking dabs. And we're up for a little bit, and then we go to sleep. So at like 8 in the morning, we both wake up. He's on his phone, I'm on my phone. We're not facing each other. And then all of a sudden, I feel the bed start to shake, like, a lot. So I turn over, and this kid is having a full-blown fucking seizure. Like, he's foaming at the mouth. His eyes are literally rolling in the back of his fucking head. So I get up and roll him over onto his side because I didn't want him to start choking.
Whatever the case scenario was, not interesting enough. Like, she would just gas the living shit out of everyone around us, like all of our other friends, but make sure she never gave a single compliment to me. But when I say gas up everyone else, I mean like worship the fuck out of every single girl in the friend group except for me. I was like, girl, what did I ever do to you? And since she had that cute little era where she hated everything I liked, the only thing I ever really got from her was criticism, whether it was like about how ugly my outfit was or how...
Couple stands up and goes for lunch. So my mom's like, okay. They get back from lunch and then my parents go, okay, we're gonna go back to the condo. And Dino says to my dad, oh, we're gonna stay here for a little bit longer. My dad says, okay, I'll come pick you up at 4 o'clock at this street because it's 1989. Whatever, just meet me at this. Parents go back to the condo. My mom says to my dad, I'm gonna pick them up from the beach. And my dad's like, okay. Dad goes and takes a nap at 4 o'clock. My mom goes to the beach and they're both standing there. They see it's my mom. Without saying a word, both of them get into the back seat of the car. So my mom's now driving them around like a taxi driver. So now in her head, she's irate. She's also insane. So on the way back to my condo, there's a roundabout and she starts going,
you know, I really couldn't because they would kick me out of the prom stuff. So I just really didn't want nothing to happen. But of course, her picking at me every day got me upset and my blood pressure started rising a little bit. So one day at lunch, my boyfriend came and brought me Chick-fil-A. And of course, me thanking him and stuff like that for the food, I turned to the side for like a quick second and then I look at him and I see him awkwardly like waving like one like. And then I look to see who he's waving at so awkwardly and it was her. And I'm just sitting here like, this little girl is sneaky like. And
Storytime, the biggest lie I ever got away with as a teenager. So my sister and I were going to spend the weekend at my stepdad's and I asked my parents if I could bring a friend. My dad said he didn't care and my stepmom said no. And my parents were really strict. But obviously I did not listen. So I invited my friend and her parents were also really strict. So we came up with this elaborate plan that I would ask her parents and tell them that it was a surprise for her. And they believed it. So the day comes.
I just flipped the switch.
Sarcastic sense of humor, but he started to sound more and more serious every time that he would talk about it. Well, after us dating for 10 months, he calls me the one night, and he starts telling me about how he's going to shoot up the school. He had told me his entire plan of how he was going to do this. Now, he must have thought that we were like ride or die relationship, when in reality, I was recording everything that he was saying. After we got off the phone, I wrote an email to all of the office staff in my school, but I fell asleep and never finished the email. I woke up the
This is why you should never leave your house unlocked. Part 1. When I was about 12 years old, I lived in Kansas. Both my parents were out and I was home alone with my 2 dogs. I was sitting in my bedroom playing on my computer when I heard the very distinct sound of the front door open and close, like someone had just come in. My dogs got up and ran into the living room, and so I just assumed my parents were home. I shouted for my mum to confirm, but bye.
Since I'm back in my hometown for the weekend, let's talk about some of the absurd rumors that were spread about me in my high school. Starting off strong, there was this time where this girl was spreading the rumor that I was pregnant, all because she was having her own pregnancy scare. I guess someone had heard about her situation at the time, so she said it was me, and this was literally one of my best friends at this point. And I wasn't aware this was going around until I was sitting at a football game, and all of a sudden, these guys just start yelling, "Kendall's pregnant," in front of everybody. That was also the same game where a kid told me to myself just because I was sitting in his...
Out of something in this world, she had to fucking hate it. And I don't mean just hate it. She had to despise it. She loved to just go on and on about how terrible she thought the things I liked were every single time that we hung out. It was so fucking weird. It wasn't like dislike, like it was passionate hate. And I swear she would like half these things until I liked it and then she had to hate it. Another thing she would do is intentionally like reach and go out of her way to make me feel unimportant, not good enough, like etc., ugly,
everything like that. And eventually I just got tired of trying to get my grade up because I realized that it was never going to happen. So my teacher was 27 years old. We're going to call him Mike, and Mike had a girlfriend. He had been staying after school helping me like every single day from like 3 o'clock till 5 o'clock. Well, the one day I had this outfit on that maybe wasn't that appropriate, and I was being super flirty with him the whole time. To be honest, I just didn't want to put in the effort to get up my grades. And then 10 minutes later, he started getting handsy.
Some of them. And I kid you not, you guys, her videos were exact replicas of my videos. Like, word for word. Like, she would change a couple words, but the whole POV was my POV. And you may be thinking, like, Katie, like, why is that a big deal? Okay, well, first of all, she obviously knew it was a big deal because she had to block me in order to steal my content. So she knew what she was doing. And also, it was like, it's one thing to steal someone's content.
I kind of saw it as I pushed her to do something that she knew she would never do. And after having my number blocked for like 3 years, she texts me and she says, "I wanted to thank you for what you did. You showed me that I could leave my boyfriend and that you were actually just a terrible friend. But now I'm happy for her. She's living the best life that she can live, and I'm still with her ex-boyfriend." Story time about my toxic ex-friend group. So my freshman year, I had moved to a new high school.
She then took a newspaper from the next table, started reading it, like, "Tell me something interesting about you." I proceeded to tell her that I spent my teenage years in children's homes. And she said, "Oh my God, that is so depressing. You're so miserable." I said, "Look, I'm going to leave now." We stood outside. I went to phone a taxi. And she said, "Why don't you just phone one from my house in the morning?" Like, why do some people think, like, lowering your self-esteem?
With bubble gum, so I had to chew it. Taste me how to duck, taste me how to duck.
I was really scared that, like, if me and him were gonna get into a relationship, I was gonna be a bad kisser. Spoiler alert, me and him didn't end up in a relationship. But anyways, I was so desperate to get my first kiss at the time because everybody was having theirs except for me. And obviously, like, I felt left behind. And I wanted to be a good kisser for this guy. So at this point, I was willing to kiss a stranger. Anyways, my friend, we're gonna call her Tracy, was dating this guy, and we're gonna call him John. Okay, so Tracy's parents didn't know
I would always hang out with, and a lot of people thought we were like a couple or talking or something like that, but we were not. We were just friends. Then one weekend, one of my exes came in town and we hung out, and then someone took a video of us kissing and literally sent it around the entire school. And everyone thought me and this kid were talking at the time, which we were not. This kid did not get mad at the video at all. The reason why people thought I cheated was because we started talking after the video, because he saw it and he was like, "Hey, like, I actually like you. This kind of bothers me." And I was like, "Oh my gosh, I am so sorry, I did not know that." And then we started talking.
Just do my lashes, no brushing them. Alright, so I'm about to leave.
Like, I know I could never do, like, sleepovers on school nights or things if I had something the next day, but I think that's just normal. So yeah, now that I say them all out loud, they don't sound like the worst things in the world, so let me know your guys' thoughts and your guys' rules if any of you guys have the same things in common. I don't know, it's just funny now. I always had the helicopter parents that were always in my business. Without me telling them, it was like searching through phones or media accounts to figure out what's going on. I feel like a lot of these are reasonable. I just wish I had a little bit more of a social life in high school, but I'm not mad that I didn't, because honestly, they probably weren't.
And the one day he had walked in on us doing spicy things. And after, he had his whole family posting things about me on Facebook saying that I was a whore and everything. Storytime about how I found my uncle sleeping with my best friend. So a little background information. I was 18 at the time and a freshman in college. My uncle was a National Guard, and we were the same age, we went to the same school, and we also had the same friends. And while he was away, I had made one friend that he didn't know about.
Yeah, I got in a lot of trouble for that one. The next thing I got in trouble for was for getting car sick and throwing up in the car. And I had to clean it up after. The next thing isn't something I got in trouble for. It's just kind of a weird rule we had that we had to ask before we could have a snack or just like eat in general. Like we had to ask before we could like eat. Like, I don't know. I didn't really realize how weird that one is until like now, but also it just doesn't make sense because it's like you want me to eat all my food, but then when I'm not hungry,
my door with some paperwork. I said, hi, how can I help you? I didn't open the door. They said, we're looking for, I think the man's name began with R. Can't remember the name for the life of me, but let's call him Ralph. And they were like, yeah, we're looking for Ralph. We'd like to speak to him. I said, there is nobody that lives here called Ralph, so wrong house. They said, are you sure you don't know anybody by that name? Nobody in this area? I said, I've never heard that name in my life. You have the wrong house. They then said, do any men live here? I said, that's not a relevant question. The person you are looking for does not live here.
Next morning, finished it. I had texted my friends not to go to school that day. I had already missed the bus. I rode my bike to school that day. I ran to the principal's office. Nobody was there. And that's whenever I heard shots in the hallway. Story time about how I crashed my dad's really expensive car. So a little background information. My mom had just got remarried to my stepdad 3 years ago, and he was this rich asshole who owned a bunch of food trucks and thought he was the shit. Well, at the time I also had a boyfriend, and we had only been dating for like a month and a half.
At the time, my daughter was with his parents. So it was just me and him there. He's literally pulling glass out my back, like little shards of glass. Like, giving me my favorite snacks, making sure I'm fine. Like, was with me hand and foot and was basically saying, oh, we need to work on our family again. Like, let's just work on our family. That's my nigga. Like, we was never broken up, babes. So it was nothing. It was nothing. And so he was like, yeah, let me just go to the spot I was at, which I should have looked into it more. He wasn't at his folks.
Get a job there by my boyfriend because he had super bad trust issues. I know you guys are going to be like, oh, well, I can see why. No. It was because of this rumor that went around right before we graduated that me and his best friend made out at a party. Child, anyways, back to the story. So then COVID hit. And it got to the point where him and I couldn't pay our bills or anything like that. So he got a job working for his uncle. And I went on unemployment, but it still wasn't helping. But my best friend was a stripper. And she told me that she had an OnlyFans
that called me pretty. She was still in the store. Like, she was in there for just like a few, like, she was still in there for a second. But the woman had called me over that had been shopping in the store previously. And she was like, hey, like, can you help me find the shade in like Charlotte Tilbury's concealer? And I'm like, yeah, girl, like, I'll come and help you. Go over to the Charlotte Tilbury section, right? Mind you, this is the day after we had just got our new shipment in of new products. So everything was like fully stocked. I mean, stocked to the brim. And when I get over there, I'm like,
sleep, and she said she hadn't heard a sound. Besides, the rooms above ours were carpeted and empty. The hotel staff confirmed this and also mentioned that the upstairs of the building had once been used as an old ballroom. This house was so haunted, nobody could live there. In the 1870s, a family living in Surrency, Georgia, started experiencing terrifying paranormal activities in...
I stopped breathing! What happened here? I don't know. Everybody just all of a sudden collapsed. Quickly, come with me. We need to figure out what's going on. Hello, I'm Officer Brad. Hello, officer. I'd like to make this a comfortable environment. Don't worry, you can address me by my name. No. Don't be disrespectful. Say my name. It's rude not to do what a police officer says. Say it. Brad? I can't believe what happened to Officer Brad. He dropped, just like the others. I know, it's crazy. I found something...
It's little, like, you can tell it's too late and he... Whole time, me and my mom and like all the neighbors are outside watching, like hoping that he's gonna come up, like just, you know, like revive himself. I don't know. Condolences to the family. Like, I'm so sorry that you lost someone that night. Anyways, guys, that's the end of the look. Thank you for watching. Mwah. Bye. Love you.
Talking shit about me again. how I do my makeup so bad and I can never get a boyfriend, like I'm so ugly and all that stuff. Well, she thought that I wasn't mad at her, so she came up to me the one day and was like, OMG, I have a boyfriend. Like for part 2. Part 2 about how I stole my best friend's boyfriend. So like I said, she would talk shit about me all the time, and I only confronted her that one time, so she thought that we were all good. So the one day before class starts, she runs up to me, she's like, oh my god, you'll never guess what? I have a boyfriend. She's like, he's so cute.
And not my heart. And so I just was like, I had a breaking point, like, damn, you don't even want to have no more children with me. You don't want to get married. Like, but then come to find out, he's telling another girl all the stuff that I was begging for. He was telling another girl that shit, you know? So that shit, like, really was pissing me off. But anyway, and then also, they were on some weird shit. They were sending videos back and forth to each other of them sleeping with other people. Like, so I had a video of him actually sleeping with another girl,